To KBC's Lunchtime News, and of course right now I can inform you that the Ministry of Health has just issued a statement in regards to the rollout of the Social Health Authority since its inception on the 1st of October 2024. We have that and so much more in the next 1 hour. So stick with us for the next few minutes, and also talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim 1. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Brian Muraru, and my name is Abdiaziz Hashim. Talk to us on the news items we'll be sharing with you at this hour. And we start off with the public participation that is geared to start tomorrow. Now, the National Assembly has published a form highlighting the alleged violation in the impeachment motion of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, which will be filled by Kenyans during the Friday's public participation exercise. Kenyans have been given 3 options to indicate their views in the motion, to either support, not to support, or specify any other reason regarding the motion.
Honourable members, I have a short communication on the public participation program on the special motion for the removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Since the declaration by the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula
inviting submission of views and notifying the public of hearings on the special motion, list all 290 constituencies and indicate that the exercise is to be coordinated from 47 count venues or collection centers across the country.
Parliament has since circulated forms where Kenyans can have their say on the impeachment motion against the second in command.
Lakini unajua wengine wanajaribu, nimeona wengine wananisindikisha, sasa wabunge 300 wamesaini, sasa wewe you are die cast, si ujiuzuru uende nyumbani. Sasa mimi nijiuzuru, hii kazi mimi sikujipea.
The form will require members of the public to fill in personal information, that is full name, gender, constituency, county and their identification number. The form has 3 options: in support, or not in support, or any other specified reason. The form indicates all charges facing the Deputy President, and those in support will be required to take the appropriate charge. They are then required to sign at the bottom of the form and indicate the date they participated in the exercise.
The grounds themselves constitute about 42 pages, and with the rest of the material, we have about nearly 100 pages.
Parliament has further directed that filled templates may be delivered to a collection centre indicated in the schedule of the public hearings on the 4th of October 2024. The clerks of the National Assembly have been designated to collect and compile the public views in regards to the impeachment motion against the second in command at the specified meeting points across the country.
The security of members whose support of the special motion may affect their personal safety.
And of course, we'll cover those public participation that is set for tomorrow, where the clerks are designated to the various areas that have been stated in the public statement issued by the Parliament. And of course, that will be our key focus this evening. But to the statement that the Ministry of Health has just issued on 6 thematic areas of concerns to the public, where the ministry has clearly stated that they have clarified on the discharges from health facilities where all patients admitted under NHIF packages before the September 30th will be discharged using NHIF system, and no patient should be detained in health facilities. Secondly, on enrollment without consent, the ministry has received inquiries regarding the transition of existing NHIF members to SHA. We wish to clarify that the laws as per legal notice 147 of the 2024 provided for the transition of all registered and verifiable NHIF members into SHA. This process ensures continuity of coverage, and members are encouraged to verify, update their profiles and add dependents through the official SHA channels. Secondly, in terms of service provision system, the ministry clearly states that technical teams are working 24 hours to address the increased use of demands on various systems and enhance service delivery. Kenyans, of course, have been urged to keep experiencing smoother services as the transition progresses. Fourthly, the services provided under SHA offered expanded services compared to NHIF, ensuring enhanced access to healthcare at all levels. Now, the ministry has committed in ensuring no disruption in services during this particular transition. Now, to access of services, all public health facilities and over 60% of private health facilities have been contracted by SHA and should provide health services similarly to that aspect. Now, an updated list of these contracted health facilities is available on the SHA website, which will be continuously updated to reflect the changes and additions. And of course, we are following on this update that we have just received from the Ministry of Health. But we continue where members of the East African Legislative Assembly, EALA, have challenged East Africa Community members state to provide comprehensive data on their wildlife population and its economic contribution to their gross domestic product in respective countries. Speaking during the oversight activities on wildlife management in EAC partner states forum here in the capital, the members further called for the harmonization and reduction of entry fees to wildlife parks to promote domestic tourism among the member states.
The oversight activity on wildlife management in East Africa Community Partner States Forum in Nairobi brought on board members of the EALA who delved on pertinent issues affecting the tourism sector.
Tendo cha kumfanyia masimamizi mzuri kuweza kuhakikisha anapata pahala salama pa kuishi, kwa sababu eneo la mnyamapori tukiliondoa, manake yeye atakuwa hana pahala pa kula, hana pahala pa kulala, hana pahala pa kupumzika. Manake mnyama pori huyu ni jukumu letu sisi viongozi kuweza kuhakikisha anakuwa na mazingira salama.
Here, members insisted on the urgent need to curb poaching and illegal wildlife trade, which has resulted in significant reduction of various wildlife species.
So we are also appealing partner states to make sure they do research, and research that will allow this cooperation we're talking about to make sure they also comply to the treaties, the international covenant they have signed for the biodiversity protection, to make sure these conserved areas are beneficial to the local communities, but also to the entire system of EAC intra-trade.
The members, led by Agriculture, Tourism and Natural Resources Committee at EALA Chairperson Francois Omukiza, further emphasized on the need for accurate and up-to-date wildlife statistics to enhance regional planning and collaboration.
When we read the report, we also communicate to the Council of Ministers that is in charge of implementing solutions or recommendations of the House to make sure we inform partner states through our report on how they are going to improve their cooperation in terms of wildlife management and also in terms of supporting the GDP of their countries.
To promote local tourism in East Africa and heighten awareness on the importance of wildlife conservation, they recommended the reduction of entry fees to parks and reserves in the member states.
If I approach now to some areas, not as an MP, just as South Sudanese, I get a lot of trouble. What are you doing? You are not part of East Africa. We till now are paying different charges.
Human-wildlife conflict was also termed as a key issue affecting the natural heritage, with the representatives advocating for research and monitoring of human-wildlife conflict and community-based mitigation, among other solutions, to tame the menace. John Kahiro for Lunchtime News.
And in other news, an alarm has been raised over the rising cases of cataracts and other eye conditions among residents of Baringo County, with data showing 2,000 cases of cataract are reported annually. Now, speaking in Baringo, North Carolina, Talam, an optician noted lifestyle was the cause of many of the cases they have received, as well as the use of firewood and other factors such as old age. Talam urged the locals to have a regular eye screening so as to detect and avert the condition early enough.
In Baringo, annually it is estimated that 2,000 patients are diagnosed with cataract, and of the 2,000, 1,000 are supposed to undergo cataract surgery. And you find that the statistics at the hospitals is that 500 are the ones who manage to reach the hospital. So the rest of the population have not been touched.
Watu wetu hapa Kerio Valley wako na shida kubwa sana ya macho, na tujui shida ni nini, sababu inahusu watu wakubwa na watu wadogo. Tungependa wafanye matibabu na ikiwezekana wafanye vile uchunguzi ijulikane ni nini inasababisha watu kuwa na shida ya macho.
Elsewhere, elderly persons in Homa Bay County have raised concerns over the state of the healthcare, saying there is a need for improved care services for senior citizens. Speaking during the International Day for the Elderly event held in Kendu Showground in Karachuonyo, the elderly said the care programs are not adequately funded, exacerbating the challenges they face. They suggested the provision of monthly stipends ranging from 2,000 all the way to 5,000 shillings as a way to ease the financial burden and ensure better access to healthcare services.
Juu ya matibabu tungepata bure. Kuna shida mbalimbali ambazo zinakumba. Changamoto ziko. Pesa tunapata, lakini tunaenda mpaka UGIS. Na ukienda mpaka UGIS unatumia gharama tena fare ya basi kurudi pia hivyo. Kwa hivyo yuko changamoto. Tunaomba serikali kama ingetusaidia iwe karibu, ili tukipata tusitumie chochote.
Whatever little money the government gives you as cash transfer, please make good use of it. Make use of it. Don't squander. However little it is, make sure that it improves your life. Because the intention of the government is to ensure that we have elderly people who are healthy and who are well taken care of.
To education matters now, students across the country are set to benefit from a program to grow and monetize their talents. This was revealed during a mentorship training of students at Moi Girls School in Nairobi. David Vigan from a Top Talent Agency, who are on a tour in Kenya, say they have identified several students with great talent and passion in technical work that the agency will support to grow into careers.
With coming up with these better ways to do things or to improve upon existing ideas. So we look for those people that maybe need some funding, maybe they need some encouragement, maybe they need some mentoring to help them start that business and grow that business.
Why are we connecting art with the climate? You know, it seems a little not so obvious, but actually what it did is for these young people, it gave them a symbol of hope in the same way that a celebrity might.
Now, a group of activists plan to launch a campaign to mobilize the youth to register for the national identification cards across the country. Faulting government's proposal to roll out IDs with expiry dates, they say that the only real change will come from ensuring that the youth take an active role in the country's leadership by ensuring they take part in the voting process. The activists have also faulted the rollout of the Social Health Insurance Fund, saying gaps in the implementation is causing undue frustrations among Kenyans.
To pick up IDs. We are mobilizing our young people to say no to IDs that have an expiry date. Our nationality does not expire.
What was so bad about NHIF that they had to migrate it to that social health authority thing that costs 104 billion to revamp? Why couldn't we have injected that money into NHIF? Right now, they're saying that now they've brought Linda Mama back. Where is the Gazette notice for Linda Mama being back? All they say is utterances on social media that for normal birth, normal delivery, it has been increased to 10,000, and for CS, it has been taken to 30,000.
Nobody enjoys going to the street. All of us would like to spend our time in the things that will help us to build this national project, the Kenya National Project. But if we dare stay home and do not challenge the runaway theft or now the killings that are happening in this country, then what it basically means that we will even die home based on our daily material realities.
The government has announced a shift of focus to deflection initiatives and alternatives in place of the current incarceration program in dealing with individuals grappling with drugs and substance addiction. Now, National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse CEO Dr. Anthony Omariko says the new approach will focus on diverting individuals struggling with the vice from the criminal justice system and instead offer them support through treatment and counseling, as well as community-based interventions. Now, the program, which has been piloted in various regions in the country, including Mombasa County, will involve collaboration with the community organizations, law enforcement agencies, and healthcare professionals to offer comprehensive support services. Omariko spoke during the Africa Leadership Deflection Summit here in the capital.
The purpose of this summit is to bring together the leaders in this space for us to brainstorm and come up with a way forward on how we roll out deflection and alternative incarceration in the region and by extension globally.
How does Africa understand this idea of deflection, this new idea, this new concept of how do we get to people early without waiting for an arrest, without waiting for a crisis, so that we can reduce drug use, reduce drug-related crime, and keep people and their families together in the community? If we can safely keep them in community, let's do that so they can be with their families, they can be productive, and continue to contribute to the community and what is going on there. So that's the idea of deflection.
We already have the deflection program operating, where the police are able to sort of protect some of the clients who have an alcohol and drug abuse, who are being adjusted or just about to be adjusted, and then they refer them to the drop-in centers and the rehabilitation facilities.
Elsewhere, Elgeyo Marakwet has recorded a prevalence of cases of epilepsy following a free medical camp in the region. Speaking during a free medical camp in Cheptebo, the County Director of Health, Dr. Isaac Kipiego, said most residents were not aware of the disease, urging them to visit health facilities for checkup and reviews.
Ni jinsi ya kupata dawa ama kupata dawa yenye mtibu hii inaweza mpumzisha kwa hii ugonjwa wa epilepsy, at least angalau tulia.
Tangu 2015 hadi leo tumeona wagonjwa zaidi ya 1,500 ambayo wako na hii ugonjwa ya epilepsy, na watu wengi walikuwa waelewi ya kwamba hii ni medical condition. Walikuwa nafikiria ya kwamba labda ni uroki, lakini baada ya mafundisho kutoka kwa madaktari wakaelewa ya kwamba kumbe hii ni ugonjwa kama ugonjwa wowote.
Tuwajua kwamba ugonjwa wa kifafa inakuanga na cause, na nimesema cause inaweza kuwa ni sababu ya infection, inaweza kuwa kwa sababu ya trauma, injury, ama inaweza kuwa kwa sababu ya kitu ambacho kilifanyika wakati mtoto alikuwa anazaliwa.
To the pulpit now, where a section of religious leaders in Kajiado County have called on the Senate to reject the Senator Dunstan Mungatana-sponsored bill to regulate places of worship. The leaders said that the registration will claw back on the gains made by the church. According to the leaders, the bill is a secret conspiracy to silence the church, vowing to oppose it.
Asibadilike, ile kabisa ni kama kusema injili isihubiriwe. Na hapo kanisa lazima tujitokeze kama watumishi wa Mungu, tuseme tunakataa bill kama hii, na tunaomba serikali yetu ya Kenya, kanisa la Mungu ina watu ambaye wanaweza wakasimama wakalete kitu kizuri, ambaye kama kuna mtu amekosea mtu mmoja, isichanganywe kanisa lote.
Watu waangalifu sana tunapoleta bill hizi, kwa sababu kanisa linaogopa kwamba kuna fiche kwa hii bill ya Mungatana. Sio tu kuregulate kanisa, ndio hatuwezi kataa kwamba pia sisi ni binadamu, kuna challenges kidogo kama ya shakahola, lakini na kanisa inaweza kujiregulate. Kwa hivyo kanisa lipewa nafasi ya kutoa maoni yao, nafasi ya kusema yale ambayo yana changamoto kwao.
Stakeholders in the education sector are calling on learning institutions to collaborate with parents and guardians to promote a culture and tradition among learners. Speaking in Isiolo County, stakeholders in the education sector emphasize the importance of teaching tradition, African values to promote diversity and prevent the erosion of cultural values and beliefs.
Mtoto wa tamaduni hata tabia hata kuwa, lakini akiwa ameshika culture yake anajua ataivalue na ataweza kuconnect hata na familia na hata na dunia vile inaenda. Kila mtu anajua mahali ametoka.
Tungetaka waweze kuelewa mazingira ambayo wanaishi, ambapo tunaishi na watu wanatoka kutoka kwa jamii mbalimbali, jinsi wanavyoishi, vyakula wanavyokula, na haya yote yanawasaidia hata katika masomo yao ya baadaye, kuelewa mahala ambapo wametoka.
Tunapoona watoto wetu wanapokuwa na hizi tamaduni, sinaleta umoja na sinafanya watoto wote wanaenda kupanuka zaidi.
More than 300,000 children under the age of 5 years in Busia County are said to be immunized as part of a 5-day polio immunization campaign by the government in 9 counties. Busia Deputy Governor Arthur Odera, who flagged off the healthcare workers conducting the exercise, urged residents to ensure children below 5 years are immunized against the disease. Busia County Medical Director David Mukabi also emphasized the importance of boosting children's immunity through this supplementary immunization activity.
Fully committed to make sure that we work with national government and to make sure kwamba watoto wetu wote wa miaka 10 na chini wamepata chanjo ili waweze kuwa salama.
Hii tunaita supplementary immunization activity kwa sababu ukiangalia ratiba yetu ya Wizara ya Afya hapa Kenya, kwa kuna mpangilio wa kupeana chanjo dhidi ya ugonjwa wa kupooza.
21 minutes past the hour. Talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim 1. When we come back, we still have more for you on the other side of the break.
Harambee Stars are set to face Cameroon in October before hosting the return leg in Kampala in mid-October. Catch the matches live on KBC Channel 1 as both teams chase slots for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations live on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
nini? Hakuna kitu tunafanya cha maana.
No, I'm very busy. I'm supposed to fly out of the country. And here I am. Atiketi ya yogurt. Nikaona kitu chwa.
Hata wewe baada sisi kushika wewe. Alituuliza. Nyinyi anashika mimi sababu ya yogurt tu.
Na kali nyingine ilikuja ya nini ya German Shepherd. German Shepherd.
Unajua unamaanisha nini?
Kali ya German Shepherd. Hiyo ni nyamaza wewe ndio unaniuliza hapa ni mimi.
Kwa nini ulimtomolea mtoto siri mapema?
Wewe mfanyakazi utamleta lini?
Kazi ya kutafuta mfanyakazi usiniachie mimi.
Mambo yangu hayaendi ninavyotaka. Samahani. Naona tuna mgeni. Ni nani?
Naomi. Si umekuwa ukinisumbua hapa kila wakati unataka mfanyakazi?
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, in a notable shift within the barbering industry, female barbers are making significant strides in the traditionally male-dominated field, reshaping the barbershop business in major towns and attracting a diverse clientele. The female barbers, who are emerging as a strong alternative, have not only brought in the fresh perspectives and innovations, but a much-needed feminine touch to the industry. John Kahiro delves into their gains and the hurdles as they navigate through the industry.
In the outskirts of Murang'a County in Gatanga, we meet Elizabeth Nyambura. She is among the growing number of women flourishing in the barbering industry. Nyambura has become a successful barber, blending the traditional grooming with massage services at her shop, which has garnered attention from male clients who flock to her establishment for the unique services. However, her journey has not been a walk in the park.
Watu wengi ufikiria massage ina uhusiano ya kimapenzi, ama anakuja akifikiria kwa mind yake kuna extra services. Lakini hapa tuna offer professional services. Na hiyo ndio awareness yenye tuna create. Mtu akuje afanywe massage yake, relax aende nyumbani akiwa amepona.
She remains resilient, choosing to see her business as a blessing that allows her to support her family and employ 2 other barbers.
Kazi yangu imeweza kuwalea wanangu wawili, moja ako college, mwingine ako high school, ndio inawalipia school fees, inawalipia nyumba na mahitaji yote. I've hired 2 professionals na pia wana feed familia zao.
Miriam Wamboi is yet another female barber who has also found success after studying beauty and cosmetology. With over 2 years of experience, she has quickly made a name for herself in the industry.
Wanaume amsubuani kuripa. After umemnyoa vizuri, umemwosha, anakuripa tu bila kusubuana. Unapata hata kuna mwenye unaweza nyoa vizuri, hata akuachie katipu.
Nyambura's story is similar to that of Grace Ngaruya from Ruiru Town in Kiambu County, who acknowledges the need for discipline and strength in navigating the complexities of working with male clients.
Unapata customer amekuja na fikira ya kimapenzi, atanipata hapa ati niwe wake, lakini ukimkataa unaona hatarudi. Lakini wengine unawaeleza hapa niko kazini, sitaki hiyo mambo, na anakubali tu.
Ngaruya has developed a loyal customer base, with many male clients preferring the attention and that much-needed feminine finesse that can only be offered by a woman. Despite the obvious challenges, female barbers are flourishing.
Mwanaume anakuaga very rough. So, hiyo feeling ya kwamba unanyolewa na ni pesa zako pia unatumia, na pia katika mambo ya usafi ukilinganisha, sisemi ya kwamba wanaume hawakuagi wasafi, lakini mwanamke anakuaga na usafi extra.
The success has not been without criticism from their male counterparts.
Wanaume kuja kinyozini wapate kuna mwanaume na msichana, wataprefer kunyolewa na msichana because wanapenda kufanya massage na wasichana, na pia kunyolewa wanasema sisi kwamba tunatumia nguvu kiasi kichwani.
Leaders have also urged women to venture into diverse fields, including traditionally male-dominated professions, emphasizing that no job should be off-limits based on gender.
We are actually encouraging them not only to think about the white-collar job. They can actually train on jobs that require them to use their physical strength.
Wasichana walo nyumbani wanafikiria hakuna kazi. Ningewahimiza kubatia hiyo kazi ya mkono, itakulipa. Usitegemee kwenda kwa ofisi kufanya kazi.
Ningetaka kuuliza makastoma wetu wasitupotelele sana juu hadi ukipata kani mwanaume ananyoa hapo kando, please ingia hapo tukunyoe, tushikeshike hiyo kichwa yako, tukutengenezee style poa, ni hadi kwetu kwa nyumba kunukia kitunguu.
John Kahiro for Lunchtime News.
Cairo, thank you for that report. Now, a national challenge to promote environmental conservation is set to be rolled out under the First Lady Mazingira Award program. The challenge that will see the winners feted during the upcoming Mazingira Day on the 10th of October provides a platform for young learners to contribute ideas towards mitigating climate change. Environment and Climate Change Principal Secretary Dr. Festus Ngeno called on young learners to seize the opportunity to become defenders of the planet and engage in communities in a meaningful discussion on conservation and climate resilience.
In the solutions are not passive observers, and we want to encourage them that we give them the platform to deliver on their aspects, on their mandates.
By empowering our learners, we are nurturing a generation that values and protects the environment. This part of our Excellency's broader strategy to amplify the voices of children as agents of change in climate action.
If we don't take climate action now, tomorrow might be too late. And we do not want it to be too late because we can make our Mother Earth smile again.
We need many Karens and we need many David Jacksons so that they can.
The government has cautioned healthcare facilities against detaining patients who are admitted in their facilities before the rollout of the new medical cover. In a statement, the Ministry of Health that has just been issued has urged all the healthcare providers to ensure that all patients admitted before the 30th of September are discharged using NHIF system. The ministry has further stated the Social Health Authority is a continuous process that is currently progressing well despite minor challenges. Now, in the meantime, the government has lauded Kenyans who have embraced the new medical cover after the official launch on the 1st of October this year. And that is the story that has just come out from the Ministry of Health. And of course, we'll duly inform you in our subsequent bulletins in regards to the rollout that has continued. But before we continue with our coverage, up next, we want to inform you on what is happening in the world of business. And now welcome to the world of business. Lamu County is urging Kenyans to explore the county's rich cultural heritage by attending the upcoming Lamu Cultural Festival. Speaking at the ongoing Magical Kenya Travel Expo, Lamu County Executive Committee member for Tourism Aisha Abdallah has assured the public of the region's safety, reiterating the collaborative efforts between the national government and the local security agencies have restored peace and stability, leading to a positive revival of Lamu's tourism sector.
For decades, Kenya's tourism marketing has been centered around the country's expansive wildlife reserves. The traditional beach and game drive tourism has overshadowed other tourism products like conference and cultural tourism. Lamu County government is now inviting domestic tourists to sample the island's rich Swahili heritage.
On 28th November to 30th November, it is the Lamu Cultural Festival. It is 3 days of activities, 3 days of fun, where people get to mingle and they get to know what Lamu has to offer. Lamu is known with its cuisine. It has a lot of mapochopocho, tamu-tamu, like the nazi and the spices are known to be in Lamu.
Lamu County Executive Committee member of Tourism Aisha Abdallah says integrating cultural experiences into safari tours and creating dedicated cultural tourism circuits could help increase tourism earnings.
Since we started marketing, now that we have the kayaking, the dhow sailing, and some adventurous activity, we now get a lot of domestic tourists. As I want to pledge to the embassies, because most of the islands in Lamu has 5 islands habitant, but only 3 islands are the ones that the tourists get to see, which is the Lamu and the Manda Island.
So we're appealing for more investors to come to Lamu, especially on bigger hotels range. We have issues also with land and all that. So the county government can facilitate even land to do all those stuff. So there's some agreement and some arrangement which are it's just to encourage the investors to come and invest in Lamu.
At the same time, industry leaders in the tourism sector in Samburu are calling on the national government to continue investing in infrastructure, including enhancing mobile network coverage and transport systems to facilitate communication and ease access to the region ahead of this year's Ma Cultural Festival in November.
The employment part of it employed a lot of people, both directly and indirectly. We also have community conservancies that have about 5 pillars: the natural resource management, the livelihood that it improves for the communities, sustainability part of it, and the good governance.
There is a lot that can also be done in terms of infrastructure development, issues of mobile network, putting masks so that we ease communication. One of the other things that we can do as government is to ensure that enough ranger force is employed so that it can provide security for our wildlife and for our tourists.
Trevor Ngendo for Lunchtime News.
Now, players in the aviation industry have cited the high cost of fuel as the biggest challenge facing the sector. West Rift Aviation Limited Director Mark Koros says the fuel it's costing around 400 Kenya shillings, making the cost of training pilots and engineers in the country beyond the reach of many.
The growth of aviation industry has peaked after disastrous interruption occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, which dealt the industry a major blow. The sector is currently one of the job creators, boasting of an extra 1,400 new routes, more than double what was registered in 2016. Air travel is considered the fastest and the safest means of transport, but players in the sector are decrying the high cost of aviation gasoline or jet fuel, which has skyrocketed to almost unaffordable levels due to high taxation. Mark Koros, West Rift Aviation Limited Director, which is a private institution offering aviation training, says the situation has not only led to high cost of doing business, but has also made the cost of getting the aviation training too expensive.
You've got the petroleum development levy, there's a railway development levy, there's a vaporization levy. So if we're able to manage this, I think then we'll be able to lower the cost. Because I think if you're to look at the litre, at the moment, it's close to 400 shillings a litre.
Koros is challenging the government to consider subsidizing training of pilots in private flying schools, the same way they are supporting university and TVET training programs. West Rift Aviation Limited has around 50 students studying various aviation courses that include private pilot license, commercial pilot license, airline transport pilot license, and flight dispatch license, among others.
The aviation industry has got a wide spectrum of courses. So, at West Rift, we've concentrated on flight operations course, where we train flight dispatchers, and we also train pilots, from the level of private pilot to the level of, commercial pilot, and of course, airline pilot.
When it comes to flying school, pretty much anybody can join. Yeah, whether you have a career going on or you're fresh out of high school, anybody can join it. So again, when it comes to those 4 months, it's a give or take, depending on how much time somebody has. If you have a student who's fresh out of high school, they have all the time in the world. Yeah, so they are able to come in here and spend more than half a day in class.
Aviation has been my passion since, I would say, 3 years old. Yeah, I've loved airplanes and I've always wanted to fly them. So I'm very, very excited to start flying.
The training takes up to 8 months to finish and include flying the planes. Tilio Marco for Lunchtime News.
Anti-tobacco crusaders want the government to amend the National Tobacco and Nicotine Products Control Act of 2007, which they claim is outdated, to safeguard public health. Led by the Tobacco Control Board chairperson Naomi Shaban said the existing tobacco control law is out of date and to provide a statement and safeguard to deal with emerging nicotine products circulating in the country. Shaban was speaking during the 3rd Tobacco Taxation Conference here in the capital.
Upon the government to consider these taxes as a source of revenue for boosting the revenue deficit, because we still have a long space within which cigarettes and tobacco products can be taxed.
The law the way it is, because it did not anticipate these new and emerging products, there is a gap. And that's what we are seeking to close that gap. And we are working very closely also with the parliamentarians the Committee of Health in the National Assembly and the Committee of Health in the Senate. We are going to engage them.
We discovered the Tobacco Control Act, which was enacted in 2007, has been overtaken by events. The new products are innovative and they were not contemplated in 2007. And therefore, we must amend the Tobacco Control Act so that we can align it to the new products in the market.
Did you know that you can access smart features such as telematics, smart acceleration and smart braking on your electric motorcycle? This is made possible thanks to the embedded systems and microcontrollers. On Tech One this afternoon, we show you how technology drives an electric motorcycle.
The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum puts the number of electric bikes and motorcycles at about 1,000 and counting, as the sector seeks a jump in popularity of electric mobility. Why are they popular?
There are certain things that the electric bike shares with the petrol bike. So for instance, things like the headlamp, the tail light, the indicators, those are shared across. Whatever is in a normal bike would be able to work here.
This is no typical motorcycle. It requires some sophisticated technology to run, as Arnold explains.
The battery is connected to a controller. The controller is a piece of hardware. You can reference it to an ECU in normal ICE vehicles or bikes or cars. So the ECU is what governs how the motor rotates. So when you change the angle of your throttle, it sends a signal to your controller, and then from your controller straight to your motor. So depending on that angle, it will interpret as it will send a signal to the controller, which will interpret it for a particular speed.
Sensors, wireless connectivity, battery management and even artificial intelligence, which enables features like adaptive cruise control, collision avoidance and predictive maintenance, controls this machine, and users are happy with the applications.
We'll be able to monitor battery temperatures for safety reasons. We can be able to monitor location, how quickly is the battery discharging over time, what distance were you able to cover, how long did it take to charge. Those are all parameters we're able to measure.
As the government pushes for more e-motorcycles to drive electric vehicles adoption and create jobs, there are a few considerations to consider in this space.
The biggest thing I think would be for people of monetary institutions, banks and such organizations, if they can be able to offer that support or be a bridge between us and the consumer, I think would be able to speed up the adoption of this.
Kenya is currently looking to drive EV technology growth through an e-mobility sessional paper currently in the National Assembly. Alanauko, Tech One.
And on the international front, China has filed a complaint at the World Trade Organization over Canada's unilateralism and trade protectionism practices, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce said on Wednesday. The ministry said it has also initiated an anti-discrimination probe into Canada's restrictive measures targeting certain imports from China. Canada's 100% tariff on all Chinese-made electric vehicles, including some hybrids, trucks and buses, came into effect on Tuesday. This and more stories is in our International Business News Roundup.
The Chinese Commerce Ministry responded that Canada's actions violate the principle of market economy and fair competition, severely damaging normal economic and trade cooperation between China and Canada. The ministry urged Canada to view bilateral economic and trade cooperation rationally and objectively and comply with the WTO rules. China says it will take all necessary measures to firmly protect the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese enterprises. Canada's 100% tariff on all Chinese-made electric vehicles, including some hybrids, trucks and buses, came into effect on Tuesday. The measures were first announced in late August. The country also announced on Tuesday that it will impose a 25% surtax on select imports of steel and aluminium from China. The surtax on those products will come into effect from October 22nd. Elsewhere, OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, has raised $6.6 billion in its latest funding round as investors, including its early backer Microsoft, continue to bet big on artificial intelligence. The deal gave the tech company a value of $157 billion, similar to investment bank Goldman Sachs and more than most of America's biggest companies, making it one of the most valuable startups in the world. OpenAI said the money would allow it to stay at the cutting edge of AI research. The influx comes as the company has been in the spotlight, in part for internal leadership drama and debate over its future status. Finally, Toyota is pushing back the start date for electric vehicles manufacturing in the US as global demand for battery-powered cars continue to soften. The Japanese motor industry giant was aiming to start production in late 2025 or early 2026. Several other major car makers, including Volvo and Ford, have recently scaled back their EV plans. Earlier this year, the firm announced it was investing $1.3 billion in its Kentucky factory as part of plans to build a 3-row electric sport utility vehicle there. To support these goals, Toyota is ramping up its lithium battery production with a factory in North Carolina, which is expected will come online next year. Benson Juba reporting for Lunchtime News.
And now let's play. Over 170 referees are taking part in an FKF National Super League physical endurance training at the Kipchoge Keino Stadium in Eldoret. The training, led by FKF referees manager Sylvester Kirwa, is focusing not only endurance but agility skills and medical assessment as well to ensure the referees meet the physical demands of officiating league matches. FKF National Super League match commissioners have not been left behind either, as they are also taking part in the pre-season training to enhance their officiating too.
And from this test, we will be able now to come with a list that is sufficient to officiate the entire season. The Federation has made sure that we have the quality that deserves to be in NSL and KPL and Division 1. However, we will rightly say, in every test, there are those who fail and there are those who pass. And so those who pass have an opportunity to officiate. Those who fail have a next time to do their best.
Now, yesterday night it was a night of surprises in the UEFA Champions League, where title holders Real Madrid were upset by Lille, who beat them 1-0 in their league campaign, as Bayern Munich suffered the same fate away to Aston Villa. Now, Alexis McAllister and Mo Salah were on target as Liverpool beat Bologna 2-0 in another match. Now, of course, those were the results in the UEFA Champions League, with the Europa League continuing. Now, the question is if Aston Villa can beat Bayern Munich at their own backyard, with United set to face the same Aston Villa this weekend. What will happen in the weekend? Food for thought. And, of course, the same United is playing FC Porto this evening. That marks the end of our bulletin. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Brian Muraru. Good afternoon for now, and enjoy the rest of your day.
صلي على
Uongozi ambao tunapata miongoni mwetu, kuna watu ambao wamepewa ni neema, vile vile pia ni mtihani na ni fitna.
Hakuna haja kwenu nyinyi mnitii mimi hata kama mimi ni kiongozi. Kwa utamtii kiongozi na kumheshimu kiongozi maadamu yeye anamuogopa Allah.
Wanaume na wahusia, sikizeni kwa makini, mkeo muthamini, simfanyie udhi.
Hello and welcome to the program. My name is Maria Yambo and definitely this is Health and Lifestyle, where we talk all matters health. We'd like to hear from you. Go to our social media handles at Maria Yambo at KBC Channel 1 and on Facebook, KBC Channel 1 TV. We'd like to hear your views about the program and even some of the topics that we'd want us to, to bring for you in this particular program.
So this is the kit itself. It is as easy as the way a lady would use a tampon.
Innovative ways for testing cancer.
What cancer does is your normal cells grow and outgrow. They proliferate, grow really, really fast, Imagine like when your tea is boiling and it just flames up. And that growth overwhelms the blood supply, so tissues begin to rot and fall off.
We'll also be talking to Dr. Nelly Mugo. She's a researcher and a scientist at the Kenya Medical Research Institute about HPV, that is actually a preventive measure for cervical cancer. And we'll definitely be giving you health tips on a good practice segment. Now, cervical cancer is sexually transmitted and is the second leading cause of cancer deaths among women in Kenya. Early diagnosis of the human papilloma virus remains the #1 measure to curing the disease, but the challenge of access to screening in health facilities means the disease is often